friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 340. Day in that neighborhood. My brothers and sisters. It was somebody, y'all. I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody who had left a comment on one of our most recent videos that we put out. And they said, I really enjoy your reactions to Mr. Ballin', that chapter, and this man right here. Adrian from Coffeehouse Crime. The coffee man, y'all. And the reason I bring that comment up for real is because it's funny that Mr. Ballin', that chapter, and Coffeehouse Crimes was the first three like true crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious, what is going on type of videos that we was watching over here. You know what I'm saying? Like they was the first three, y'all. Then we found Emma Sauls, and we found Dial Trip, we found Evil Intentions, Tragedy Tales, the Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying? We got a huge family of those type of content creators that we watch now. But it all started from these three guys. And the coffee man, hey, I freaking love him. He is freaking awesome. But I digress, my brothers and sisters. Hope y'all doing excelente out there today. And I'm glad that you came on back to the channel once again to fuck with the bean. Now, the title of this video. The Celebrity Bodybuilder Couple that chose murder instead. Now, it's so funny because we just watched the video from Ryan yesterday, Tragedy Tales. And one of the 5 clips that were captured before horror was a dude with all this weight on his neck, and his spotter didn't do his job correctly. And long story short, story long, this man ended up dying because the damn weight that he was trying to lift up, you know what I'm saying? That shit ended up falling on his neck and crushing and breaking his neck to the point where it was fatal. And it's just funny that we finna hear something about bodybuilders again, but now there's a flip side of it. These freaking bodybuilders are freaking murderers. And not only are they freaking murderers, it's a couple. This is a man and a woman doing it. This is a Bonnie and Clyde bodybuilder. You know what I'm saying? I digress again, my brothers and sisters. We finna go and check it out. But before we check it out, y'all know what y'all gotta do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need. We back to the coffee man once again. Y'all got what y'all need, y'all ready to go? Then let's fucking go.
When world-famous bodybuilders Craig Titus and Kelly Ryan married, their popularity grew to an all-new level. But after the police announced them to be wanted for murdering their assistant, their reputation nosedived for very obvious reasons. What followed was a whirlwind of dramatic details, highlighting the couple's toxic behaviors which only worsened when their assistant moved into their home. But who was their assistant? What did they do to Melissa James? And how exactly would they be legally punished? Hi there folks, and welcome back to Coffeehouse Crime. My name is Adrian, if you didn't know that by now, and today we're casting a light on the case of Melissa James. Coffeehouse Crime is all about true crime, strange and chilling stories, and the best way to support me is by subscribing to the channel. So, if you want to see darkly fascinating stories and think that 3 coffees a day is not too excessive, then please subscribe now. Before we begin today's video though, I wanted to talk about our sponsor, Incognate. How many
The old coffee man. What the hell he holding up a cat? Y'all mess with Incognito, man. Y'all support all these people we watch, man. And if you want to get into Incognito, look it up if you want to, man. That's what I'm saying. But this is already crazy because the lady moved into the house with them. Like, what was their reason for fucking killing them? I mean, killing her. What was the reason for that? That's the first question I already got on my mind. But I'm gonna take it back right here and let's go.
content creators, and let's get straight back into today's case. And now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee, pull up a seat, and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of Melissa James.
Get whatever you may need.
Welcome to Panama City, folks. Found in Florida's Bay County, this small city is home to beautiful beaches, crocodiles, offensively hot weather, and around 200,000 residents. Now, Panama City's economy is mainly driven by retail, real estate, and the military. And as you can likely imagine, with Florida's hot weather, the city is quite a chilled out and laid back place to be. Definitely a place that is in no real rush to get anywhere. Thousands of people flock to the beach on a hot summer's day, soaking up the sun before heading to the city's many bars and cafes for a refreshing cocktail or an iced coffee. Or maybe that's just me daydreaming again. Remind me to book a holiday sometime soon. Anyway, moving on. Despite its vast amount of sunshine, the weather is not always perfect here. In fact, in October of 2018, it was far from it. When Hurricane Michael tore through Florida, it severely impacted the community of Panama City. And with winds of up to 165 miles per hour, more than 20,000 people were evacuated while countless properties were destroyed.
And see, this is the main reason why I'm pretty sure I would never live in Florida, y'all. Man, it's like every year, bro, you got to be worrying about and trying to be prepared for a freaking hurricane. Look at that. Look at the destruction. And this shit happens every year. I'm not saying it happened to every part of Florida every year. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it happened to every city, but it's guaranteed that some hurricane gonna come fuck some shit up in Florida every year. I don't know how you Floridians do it, man. I really don't, man. It's a beautiful place. Florida is beautiful. I've been there a great number of times. You know what I'm saying? Is Florida the Sunshine State? I don't know. I don't want to say some shit that I don't know about. But y'all get what I'm saying though, man. It is the Sunshine State. It is beautiful and the weather is great until it's hurricane season, when literally all your shit and potentially your life can be destroyed.
The winds tossed around cars, trucks, and even trains like they were nothing more than toys. And Panama City's beach sustained critical erosion. By the time Hurricane Michael was finally gone, 74 fatalities were recorded alongside $25 billion worth of damage. Devastation aside, today's video takes us 13 years earlier to Panama City in 2005. And here we can find the main character of today's story, that being Melissa James and her loving family. Born on March 23rd, 1977, Melissa James was quickly recognized by her family as a bright and intelligent young girl. And alongside her brother and sister, the three siblings lived together with their mother, Maura, in Panama City. Melissa was a sociable young child, was well liked, and easily made friends with others in her early school years. She was naturally athletic too, and started taking dance classes at the tender age of 7. She quickly began to absorb everything that she could in the world of dance, and studied many different styles. Her favorite styles were jazz dance and ballet, and not only would she perform well herself, but she would also try to help students around her to succeed. Upon entering high school, Melissa began cheerleading, which was something that she additionally excelled at, all in the meanwhile still maintaining stellar grades at the very same time. In fact, her academic performance was so notable that she graduated from Crawford Mosley High School 1 year earlier than scheduled. I mean, honestly, who even manages to do that? Now, Melissa was both book smart and business savvy. Therefore, after high school, she attended Gulf Coast Community College in her local area to complete a course in business administration. Perhaps as expected, she rose to the top of the class with excellent marks. But after only 2 years here, she began to feel a pull towards a different calling. Reminiscing back to her times dancing as a child and her 4 years of experience as a cheerleader, Melissa felt that she had the chance to bring her passion to the community around her. It was then decided at the young age of 19 that she would open her own dance studio named Dance Unlimited. Opening its doors in 1996, Melissa James's studio quickly garnered an excellent reputation and was well known throughout Panama City. She cared greatly about the kids in her area and did everything that she could to help them in and out of the dance studio. She was also well known for offering scholarships to less than privileged children, giving them the chance to attend grammar school while also taking classes with her in the studio. Melissa also refused to turn anyone away and was known to excitedly take on new students with various special needs, helping them to keep their bodies fit while also boosting their own confidence. Outside of the studio, and especially during the slow summer months, Melissa modeled locally and even starred in some local commercials. She was featured in brands such as Calvin Klein and MTV, which in the 90s was a significant achievement. And
man, Melissa out here for real. W to Melissa, bro. Like, she was out here doing some major things. And not only is she a beautiful woman, just look at her. That lady was beautiful. But also, she was like giving back to the community. At the age of 19, you open up your own dance studio at 19. Like, her head was on straight. Like, she is like a perfect model of how you should grow up and transition from a child to an adult. You know what I'm saying? She always was on top of her shit. And from going back way as a cheerleader in high school and all that to the point where she is now. W to Melissa, man. Great woman.
And going back to her high school roots, Melissa even cheered for a local football team. All in all, it is very easy to see how remarkable Melissa was. It is quite rare to be so multi-skilled in so many avenues of life at such a young age. However, despite her initial success with a dance studio, Melissa was still very young and quite inexperienced to be running her own business. Perhaps due to this lack of experience or a lapse in judgment, it wasn't even a year after the studio began that she fell into financial ruin. Not one to give up in the face of hardship, she worked double time to try and pull herself back into the green and salvage her business. Despite her misstep, Melissa was highly regarded and well respected in the area. She was young, ambitious, and extremely intelligent. It was perhaps for these reasons, and while at a fitness event, when she bumped into the famous bodybuilder Craig Titus, he respected her immediately. Craig saw the evident passion she had for the industry, and the two almost instantly became close. And even after their initial meeting, they stayed in regular contact over the months and then years. As for Melissa, well, she was very proud to have known him, and was even impressive to her. Being wealthy, muscular, famous, and from Vegas, Craig was a very big deal in her mind. An idol, you might even say. They were on different paths at the same time too. While Craig was traveling around the country with his wife, successfully promoting their ventures, Melissa stayed behind in Florida, struggling to keep her studio afloat. It was in late 2002 that Craig suggested to Melissa that maybe she should join him. Theoretically, she could move out to LA and then market herself with commercial work. Now, with Craig being such a role model to her, she took his advice seriously. And so, several weeks later, she left her studio behind, moving across the country and leaving her business to be run with her business partner. Melissa's family hoped that, alongside proper guidance, Melissa would be able to grow not only herself, but her business as well. And with mentorship from Craig and his wife Kelly, who were also living in California at the time, Melissa took a good crack at the fast-paced lifestyle of LA. Saying that, just 1 year later in 2003, when Craig and Kelly decided to leave California for Las Vegas, Melissa made the decision to join them. You see, Craig managed several gyms in the local area, and after offering Melissa a job as a personal trainer in one of them, she jumped at the chance. Sadly though, things didn't quite go to plan, and so a short while later, and while still on good terms with Craig and Kelly, she moved back to Panama City. She returned to her business in the hopes of making it big, but unfortunately things would go south instead. And so, by the year 2005, she was forced to close up her business. But Melissa always had a plan B, and after asking Craig for some advice, he asked her to join him and his wife in Vegas. With a clothing store about to launch, Craig promised her a position in management. And so, hopeful in that offer, she left Panama City once again. And so, without glancing back, she waved her family goodbye and purchased a one-way ticket to Vegas. Saying that, before we continue with our case today, who exactly are Craig and Kelly Titus?
Yeah, who are they?
Born on January the 14th, 1965 in Wyandotte, Michigan, Craig lived most of his early life in a town called Riverview near Detroit. With a younger brother named Kevin and a younger sister named Nicole, he was the oldest of 3 children. He led a relatively quiet childhood, getting along with his siblings and playing with other kids in his neighborhood. Unfortunately, Craig was not physically the biggest kid on the block. In fact, he was actually one of the smallest, and when he tried out for the high school football team, he had no success and would soon quit after. Due to his smaller stature and lack of confidence, he felt that he was too small to compete against the bigger kids. Instead, Craig learned how to wrestle, where he would soon find some moderate success. When graduating from high school, Craig measured 1.65 m and 64 kilos.
Okay, I ain't said it yet, my brothers and sisters, but it has to be said. This dude is on the juice hard. Like, this man is juiced up. Look at this shit.
being 5'4" and 140 pounds. And so,
look at that man, goddamn arms. Look at his chest. Look at his head. You know what I'm saying? This man is juiced the fuck up. Look at them big ass veins popping out his right arm, my brothers and sisters. Like, goddamn, man. I really don't. I mean, I can't talk negative about bodybuilding, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm jealous or nothing because I'm skinny as fuck, but dude, I mean, that's just not for me. That I'm just gonna leave that there. That, look at this dude is juiced the fuck up.
at the age of 21, and sick of being looked at as the scrawny kid, Craig began to work out obsessively. Quickly becoming addicted to his physique, he pivoted from regular working out to intense bodybuilding, and in 1988 he attended his first competition, to which, no surprise, he won. As time passed by and his body grew to bigger proportions, he found more victory and became specially recognized in the scene. Craig was known as a work hard, play hard type of guy, and garnered quite a bit of a reputation. And no stranger to drug use, he had his first run-in with the law in 1995, where he was charged with conspiracy to possess and distribute ecstasy. He was therefore sentenced to 16 months house arrest via monitoring with an electronic ankle bracelet. And during this period of time, he would work out more and get even bigger. He was arrested again in July of 1997, this time for violating his probation by testing positive for anabolic steroids. Craig was famously open about his use of steroids, by the way, quoted as saying, "Dude, you won't get this big unless you use them." While other bodybuilders of his caliber were likely keeping their illegal enhancements a secret, Craig was honest about his usage and the impact they had on him. Despite his stints with law enforcement, Craig was on top of the bodybuilding world, winning both a Mr. Olympian title and an Ironman title. It was on an average day during one of these competitions that he met a beautiful and athletic woman named Kelly Ryan. Famously known as Flying Ryan, she was dominant in the world of gymnastics and weightlifting. Kelly was also renowned by bodybuilders and enthusiasts alike, holding the title of Miss Fitness America. Craig claimed to have fallen in love with her right away, while Kelly herself was initially resistant to his advances due to his reputation. Craig was known to be arrogant and somewhat of a womanizer, whereas Kelly was known for working gracefully and keeping her head straight. Due to her cheery and energetic nature, Kelly was described as an all-American cheerleader who loved to perform and help others. Despite their personalities being quite different, the two had very similar work ethics and a very similar drive, and eventually Kelly came around to Craig's advances. After seeing each other at various events, Craig and Kelly eventually began to date, and in July of 2000, after moving to Las Vegas, the two eventually married.
Okay, now my brothers and sisters, I'm sitting back I'm just wondering, like, why in the hell did they kill this woman though? Why did they kill her? Like, Craig and Kelly, you know, they seem like they good people. You know, they bodybuilders and celebrities and they do their thing. I'm just, that's the part I'm trying to put together right now. Because it can't be because of the one thing I was thinking of, life insurance. You know what I'm saying? We have watched plenty of those from Mike from that chapter about the life insurance. It can't be because of that, because the hell, they ain't got no life insurance out on her. So what the hell? Why did they kill this damn lady? Let's see.
No surprises here, but their union made big headlines in the bodybuilding world. Not only did it solidify their relationship, but their own professional careers too. The two soon became known as a power couple and quickly gained fame in the bodybuilding world, becoming fully fledged household names. Featuring on several magazine covers and starring in fitness exhibitions together, they were at the very top of their game. And it was during one of these fitness exhibitions that Craig first met Melissa, and as we already know, their relationship would progress from there. Returning to the present day in our story, and in the year 2005, Melissa excitedly bought her ticket and moved out to Las Vegas to live with Craig and Kelly. In her mind, this was her one chance to finally make it big, and should she become an icon herself, she would make enough money to buy back her dance studio. Instead of renting her own apartment, Melissa moved into Craig and Kelly's home. But despite plans to live there long term, in reality she would only last there for 4 months. That was because behind the scenes, the relationship between Melissa, Craig and Kelly unfortunately turned volatile. Apparently, the two never actually paid Melissa for any of the work that she did. And speaking of work, it turns out that Melissa was never actually involved in the clothing line that Craig promised she would be a part of. In actuality, she worked more of a personal assistant or secretary for the couple. And of course, Melissa was worth so much more than that. Melissa also confided in her mother that the two were often in a drug-fueled state of paranoia, and that she witnessed both mixing drugs on a rather regular basis. This is interesting, by the way, because while Craig was open about his steroid use, the public was unaware of Kelly's damaging habits. According to Craig, Melissa was more than just his personal assistant too, and helped him in more intimate ways outside of just regular phone calls and scheduling. Now, Kelly eventually became aware of the nature of their relationship, and no surprise, was not pleased at all. With tension building around the love triangle, Melissa became the common denominator between the three, and Kelly blamed her spiraling marriage on her. I mean, put bluntly, the marriage was already bad before Melissa even arrived at the scene. The couple were riddled with destructive habits and toxic traits. And just after Melissa arrived, all of those toxic traits would bubble to the surface.
Yeah, it's like Melissa getting into this situation that Craig and Kelly already was in. It's like that was just the what they call it? Is it the horse that broke the camel's back? Something that broke the camel's back, man. That's what this was, y'all. Like, because they already freaking drug addicts, already having all these problems. Then for her to come in and make it a triangle of problems, it's crazy. Now, I'm not condoning what they did, but yeah, it was just that's the straw that broke the camel's back. That's the damn term, and that's what it was.
Now, unfortunately, Kelly was someone who struggled with both insecurity and body dysmorphia. And to make things worse, Craig had apparently been urging her to get plastic surgery, which she even did do on numerous occasions. This resulted in her appearance changing dramatically over the years, causing her insecurity to build even further. And now, with a younger and objectively more beautiful woman living in the same home as her, Kelly was at her breaking point. Just before Christmas of 2005, and after only 4 months of living together and under mounting pressure from his wife, Craig booked a one-way flight home for Melissa to Florida. However, when Melissa's plane left Vegas that morning, she was not actually on the aircraft. In fact, Melissa never even made it to the airport. In the early hours of December the 14th, 2005, firefighters responded to a report of a possible bushfire out in the expansive desert that surrounds Las Vegas City. Arriving at the scene on Sandy Valley Road, what they found was no simple bushfire. Instead, they found a car ablaze, billowing dark black clouds of smoke into the air. Extinguishing the burning vehicle, firefighters and police alike surveyed the scene, gleaning any information they could as to how this car ended up here in the first place. Upon closer inspection of the vehicle, they opened the trunk of what used to be a red Jaguar car, and sadly it was then that officers made a horrific discovery, as there, inside the trunk, was a severely charred human corpse. It was just before dawn when detectives came upon the smouldering car. Fire investigators at the scene told them they were dealing with a fire in excess of 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, and they believed that the objective was not to destroy the vehicle itself, but to destroy the body in the trunk. Medical examiners could tell that the victim was female, but had little else to identify her further, because due to the body's condition, both fingerprints and facial recognition were not within the realms of possibility. It was learned though that the face had been covered with duct tape, further indicating that this was a murder. To add to that, there was evidence that some kind of accelerant had been used. Sadly, it would take weeks for the body to be identified. In the meantime, she was named as Sandy Valley Jane Doe, after the desert area where she was found. Prior to the body's identification, investigators were able to make out the license plate of the car, and lo and behold, the plates belonged to none other than Kelly Ryan. Expecting the body to belong to her, detectives travelled to her residence to deliver the bad news. However, after arriving, they were stunned to see Kelly herself standing in the doorway. After hearing all of the commotion outside, Craig joined his wife by introducing himself to the officers. It was at this moment that detectives asked the two if they knew where their Jaguar car was, to which Kelly responded, "No, I think our assistant must have taken it." And
these motherfuckers dumb as hell, man. This is a dumbass couple, man. You mean to tell me that goddamn you burnt the damn car? This car is in your name? This car that was set on fire with this lady dead in the trunk is in your name. Y'all didn't try to cover this up at all, did it? Now they more than likely finna play dumb, like they don't know how this happened, or they have no, you know what I'm saying? They don't know how she got there and set on fire and all that. They gonna play dumb like that. But what I'm saying, my brothers and sisters, is you stupid as fuck to tie yourself to this, period. You tied yourself to it, and now your ass finna get caught.
When asked who Melissa James was, she explained that she'd been living with the pair for a few months now and that she was some sort of personal secretary. To add to this, after leading detectives to Melissa's room, they then strangely brought up how she'd been acting up in recent weeks.
Acting up?
Kelly further told officers that Melissa must have stolen their money before fleeing in their car, and further claimed that she'd stolen from their own debit card in the recent months. Kelly's abrupt comments to blame Melissa made detectives suspicious. In fact, they now believe that the body may in fact belong to Melissa, and that furthermore, Kelly and Craig may be responsible. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, Maura James was waiting to pick up her daughter from Newark Airport. Sadly, Melissa would never arrive, and this alarming absence spelt trouble for the James family. 3 long days passed, and with no new information about her missing daughter, Maura grew frantic. And to make the situation even more unbearable, the family was notified about the unidentified body in Vegas. That is when the phone suddenly rang, with Craig Titus himself on the other end of the line. Craig told Maura that he was confident that the body in the trunk was not actually Melissa's. He further assured her that he and the investigators were doing everything possible to get to the bottom of her disappearance. Despite his assurances, Maura had a lingering suspicion that Craig somehow knew where Melissa was. No surprise, shortly after this phone call, both Craig and Kelly quickly began to pack their bags. Locking up their home, they fled with several pairs of shoes, clothes, money, and necessary belongings.
And they just continue to make themselves look even more guilty, man. I'm just still tripping off the fact that, bro, y'all did this and y'all gonna leave her in a car that's in your name? Dude, you know the police finna come knocking on your door. That's the first place the police going to, is to you. Wow, man. Dude claiming that he confident it's not her. Like, bro, these people, some people do this murder. They murder people, and then they stories are just the most ridiculous. Like, dude, this is not adding up. You know what I'm saying? And this is a perfect example.
Looking to their friends for a possible place to stay, they stopped by several households they were familiar with, but perhaps due to their suspicions aroused by their sudden arrival, no one would let them spend the night. As Craig and Kelly planned their next move, detectives made a breakthrough in the case. After reviewing a credit card that Kelly claimed was stolen by Melissa, detectives traced the location of its recent activity and analysed any and all surveillance footage related to those purchases. They eventually learned that the credit card was used at a Walmart the night before Melissa vanished, and disturbingly, the purchase made was 7 bottles of lighter fluid. To add to the concerning details, surveillance footage from Walmart confirmed that it was not Melissa on the other end of the credit card. Instead, it was Kelly Ryan. To make things worse, another camera outside of the Walmart confirmed that Craig was waiting for her inside the Jaguar. Upon close inspection of the footage, investigators noticed that instead of putting their cargo into the trunk, it was loaded into the rear passenger seat. Which makes you wonder, what was already occupying the back of the car? Racing back to the Titus residence, officers found the house locked and vacant. Once the couple realized they were not getting any help from their friends, they decided to take matters into their own hands. In order to remain incognito, Craig traded his truck for a new one, and before police arrived at their house, the couple struck out cross-country. A nationwide manhunt ensued, with investigators even asking the FBI for their support. And after the news broke out, fans across the globe began to wonder and speculate what on earth was going on. But all of those questions and thoughts would remain unanswered, because Craig and Kelly, they seemed to have vanished into thin air. The mystery did not last long though, and just a few days into the search, detectives received a tip. Apparently, the couple had been seen just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And they were right, because, of all things, Kelly was in the mood to get her nails done. And surprise surprise, she was arrested at a nail salon just several minutes later. And a few blocks down the street, Craig was captured in his truck. Now arrested, and with the evidence stacked against them, it seemed unlikely that Craig or Kelly had any hope of returning to their normal lives. But this video so far doesn't actually answer any of the big questions. What exactly happened on the night of Melissa's disappearance? And how could a loved friend of the family be so savagely murdered?
And why? That's my biggest question. Why? Why did y'all do this?
Despite plans for Melissa to return home the following morning, the atmosphere on the night of December the 13th was unfortunately tense. It's believed that after an argument between Kelly and Melissa turned physical, Kelly pulled out a stun gun and then tased Melissa until she fell to the floor. On a phone call in the adjacent room, Craig heard the commotion and then rushed to the aid of his wife. Upon entering the room, he saw Melissa incapacitated on the floor and Kelly armed with a stun gun. Now, despite the clear lack of threat and in what may have been a drug-induced rage, the two then choked Melissa, first with a bathrobe tie and then with a speaker cord. Craig and Kelly then wrapped her face in duct tape, from above her eyebrows to below her lips. At some point in time that evening, the couple then injected Melissa with a fatal dose of morphine, which tragically would have undoubtedly killed her. In need of a third party to help get rid of the body, Craig called one of his friends, Anthony Gross. Being much younger than him, Anthony was likely a bit starstruck and even felt honoured to know Craig, let alone have had the opportunity to help him. Now, Craig likely used this to his advantage, and would have convinced Anthony to follow him out to the desert to help dispose of the body. At around 3:30 in the morning of the 14th, and before venturing into the desert, Anthony was seen walking into a convenience store close to the site of the burning car. At around the same time as this, Kelly was spotted buying lighter fluid and driving off with Craig in the Jaguar. Meeting in the desert, Craig doused the vehicle with lighter fluid before setting it ablaze. But unfortunately for them, in their dash to flee the scene, Anthony left behind a key piece of evidence. Detectives later found a clean flashlight just north of the crime scene, and after checking Anthony's credit card history and confirming the purchase, they hauled him in for questioning. With Anthony now in custody, the police quickly made their way to Craig's and Kelly's home, but at that point, the two had already fled. After locating and then arresting the outlawed couple, all three members were captured and then taken into custody. And with all three now behind bars, a story very quickly began to be pieced together. Now of course, when Craig and Kelly were arrested, they came with their own version of events. Claiming that they found Melissa overdosed and surrounded by needles in their Jaguar, the two decided to burn the car and the body to, quote, salvage their reputations. They then bound her, placed her in the trunk, and then took her out into the desert to burn. Despite being convinced of Craig's and Kelly's guilt, officers were not sure if they could build a strong enough case to convict them, and so
Did y'all just hear that bullshit story that they trying to sell us, my brothers and sisters? So the lady overdosed, and y'all, the only reason y'all took the car and put her in the trunk and burnt her and the car up is because y'all wanted to salvage y'all reputation. Make that make sense to me. If you find somebody overdosed to the point they died, they overdosed, you know what I'm saying? They OD'd, they dead. If you find that, why wouldn't you be the first one to call the police and report this? I don't care about no damn reputation. So you care about your reputation more than you care about being charged with murder? No, because you actually did commit the goddamn murder. Crazy.
So, in response, detectives offered Craig and Kelly a plea deal, to which they both accepted. On May the 31st, 2008, instead of going to trial, Craig pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. He was therefore sentenced to 21 to 55 years in prison. Kelly Ryan pleaded guilty to arson and battery with a deadly weapon. As a result, she received a sentence of 6 to 26 years behind bars. Anthony, on the other hand, took his case to trial, where he was eventually found guilty of arson and accessory to murder. No surprise, but while the two sat in prison, Kelly filed for divorce from Craig. In the meantime, and while behind bars, Craig supposedly tried to arrange a hit against 3 of the people who testified against him. This was quickly thwarted by police, however, and in the end, no one was harmed. In October 2017, and after serving only 9 years behind bars, Kelly Ryan was officially released on parole, and she now walks the streets as a free woman.
Now here come the bullshit. Here comes the fucking bullshit. Every goddamn time, man. I was already fucking disappointed when I heard that she had got 6 to 26 years in prison. That's already not enough time. And I was thinking, this lady gonna get out early. And lo and behold, they did number 9 goddamn years. And she had something to do with that lady murder. I feel like she is the one who actually murdered her because of the tension between her and Melissa. You know what I'm saying? That was the real problem, altercations that was going on. It was those two. She had something to do with it, and now she's free after killing somebody. That shit is complete bullshit, my brothers and sisters. I don't even like the other two. Craig. I feel like Craig should have got life. Well, he got 26 or something. He got a long time, but I just feel like y'all know, my brothers and sisters. Just give these people freaking life and be done. Please. Please.
Which is crazy because Craig still remains behind bars. In a case where both lovers had an equal part to Melissa's murder, this kind of seems unfair on Craig. And at least in my opinion, Kelly should still be there rotting with him. But of course, the real injustice is towards Melissa, a young woman who did not deserve to die at the hands of overappreciated junkies. Melissa was beautiful, smart and intuitive, with enough confidence to build her own business and strike out independently. But sadly, she fell into the wrong hands through betrayal, and all it took was a lethal mix of jealousy, rage and violence to end an innocent life. Anyway folks, I think that's the end of the video today, so I'm going to wrap this one up here. Thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate you being here. Before you go though, what are your thoughts on this case? Do you think that Craig and Kelly received the sentences they deserved? And on that note, what do you think about Kelly's parole? Should she be out already or still behind bars? Anyway folks, thank you so much for watching. If you found this case interesting and want to see more of these videos, then please remember to subscribe. Thank you again to Incogni for sponsoring today's video. If you want to learn more, then look at the pinned comment and description below. Anyway folks, that is the end of the video. I'll see you again very soon for another one. But until that moment arrives, remember to look after yourself, look after each other, and of course, stay safe. Thank you, and goodbye.
Rest in peace to Melissa James, man. This one right here, y'all, is one of the ones that got me kind of upset. Not kinda, I am upset, man. I am upset, man, because that damn lady should not be walking free right now. She is literally free, walking amongst us, my brothers and sisters, after committing murder. That's why I always be saying, man, you never know, man. We be going in these stores or even at work, wherever, man. We go out in public. We never know who amongst us has did some craziness in their life and they still free. Because that's crazy, man. That's crazy, man. It got me kind of sad too, man. It got me disappointed, sad, mad, all that shit, man. God damn, bro. Because Melissa was an amazing woman, man. And she was so on top of her game, even as a young child. Like, she was just a shining light. You know what I'm saying? That you knew was just gonna get brighter and brighter and brighter. And she did go through her trials and tribulations with her what it was, her dance studio or whatever. You know, she fell into financial problems, and that's very unfortunate because that would basically led her to falling into the whole shit show with Craig and Kelly. You know what I'm saying? And I just hate she even fell into that, man. I hate she even got involved with them. And that's another thing that I hate too, y'all. Like, Craig, man, Craig and Kelly, like, y'all know y'all celebrities and you know y'all like popular and stuff. I don't like when these people who have, I ain't gonna say they had all the power in the world, but you know they got a little power because they celebrities and they got a fan base and all that. I don't like when these people who be in that position take advantage of somebody who is in a smaller position, man, and get them wrapped up in they bullshit. And especially when the person that you got wrapped up in this shit was such a great person. You know what I'm saying? And they kind of like idolized you or looked up to you. And that's how you end up treating them. You know what I'm saying, my brothers and sisters? It's just messed up on a lot of levels, man. It's just messed up on a lot of levels. But I digress. Great video from the Coffee Man, as always, y'all. I appreciate y'all coming on back. And hey, remember y'all, Saturday, make sure you watch that video because the $1,000 giveaway is happening. And before we leave, make sure y'all hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that also. And you know I gotta say this. Lord, peace and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.